Why don't you just disappear? My stepdaughter snapped during an argument. Her mom didn't miss a beat. We'd be better off without you. I didn't say anything. I just quietly started packing a bag. This morning, my phone lit up with 14 missed calls. The moment I stepped into the living room, I knew something was off. It was Sunday, and the house was quieter than usual. But that wasn't it. I glanced around, trying to figure out what felt wrong. Then I saw it, the photos. I walked up to the big one above the fireplace, the one from our trip to Yellowstone last summer. The picture was still there, but I wasn't. Every single photo with me in it had been taken out, leaving these weird empty spaces where I used to be. Moments from the past 3 years, now missing someone. Me. I just stood there holding a coffee cup that was quickly going cold, when I heard Chloe's bedroom door click shut upstairs. Her footsteps paused at the top of the stairs. She knew I was up. After a second, she came down slowly, eyes glued to her phone, doing everything she could not to look at me. She walked right past, into the kitchen. "Morning," I said, keeping my tone flat. The silence that followed was thick, like it had weight. I'd been part of Chloe's life for 3 years. 3 years of showing up, trying not to push too hard, just being there. Helping with homework, movie nights, small jokes that slowly got her to laugh. Now she was 15, and I figured some distance was normal. Teenagers do that, right? But this didn't feel like normal. It started last week, when I offered to help with her chemistry homework. She'd been struggling, and I thought I could lend a hand. Doesn't matter what I thought, really. Her response hit like a slap. "Stop pretending you care about my grades. You're not my real dad." I'd heard things like that before. But the way she said it this time, there was something in her voice. Cold. Intentional. Karen was in the kitchen. I know she heard it, but she didn't say a word. And that silence? That felt like she'd chosen a side. The whole week after that, things just kept building. Petty stuff, dishes left out, doors slammed just a little harder than necessary, conversations shutting down the moment I walked into a room. Even Karen seemed different, distant. Whenever I tried to talk to her, she'd brush it off. "She's just being a teenager, Jack. Don't make it all about you." But then came last night. Chloe was texting at the dinner table, something we usually don't allow. I gently reminded her about the rule. She slammed her phone down. "God, why are you always on my case? Why can't you just leave me alone?" "Chloe," I said, trying to keep calm. "I'm just trying to." "To what? Play dad? I already have one." She stood up so fast her chair scraped loud against the floor. "Why don't you just disappear?" she shouted. "Nobody asked you to try so hard. It's pathetic." I looked at Karen. I don't know what I was expecting, some kind of support, maybe. A middle ground. Instead, she quietly put down her fork and said, "Maybe we'd all be better off if you did." Those words just hung there, like smoke. I remembered all of it in a flash, the first time Chloe laughed at one of my dumb jokes, the night she called me crying over her first breakup, the proud look Karen gave me when Chloe asked me to help her pick out a prom dress. Not her mom and me. I stood up. My plate was still half full. "Okay," I said. "Okay, what?" Chloe fired back. But I saw it, just a flicker of doubt in her eyes. "If that's how you both feel, okay." I went upstairs and grabbed my old duffel. I could hear them whispering downstairs, but no one followed me. As I packed, I noticed my hands weren't shaking. I felt calm, like the kind of calm that settles in after a storm. When I came back down, Chloe had already left the room. Probably back upstairs. Karen stood in the doorway to the kitchen, arms folded. "So you're just leaving?" she asked. "That's your answer?" "You said you'd be better off," I replied, checking for my keys and wallet. "I'm just respecting that." "That's not." I didn't mean. She stopped. Pride, maybe. Or anger. Or something else keeping her from saying more. I grabbed my bag. "I'll be at David's," I said. "I'll figure out something more permanent soon." At the door, I hesitated. You know, when Chloe said those things, it hurt. But hearing you agree. I looked at her. That broke something, Karen. I left and drove to David's without saying another word. He opened the door, saw my face, and set up the guest room without asking a single question. That's just who David is. I turned my phone off and took a sleeping pill from the little kit I keep in my bag. This morning, I woke up to sunlight cutting through strange curtains. I turned my phone back on, and it went nuts, notifications piling in. 14 missed calls. 7 from Karen. 4 from Chloe. 3 from my sister Lisa. 27 text messages. 4 voicemails. I haven't listened to them yet. I'm sitting in David's guest room, staring out the window at the traffic below. And I keep thinking about those photos, the ones missing me. Maybe those blank spaces had always been there. Maybe I just didn't want to admit it. My phone buzzes again. It's Chloe. After everything. I just stare at her name on the screen, trying to figure out what could be so urgent now. But I'm not ready. Not yet. Sometimes the hardest part isn't walking away. It's deciding if you should ever walk back. First off, thank you. I didn't expect so many kind, supportive replies to my last post. Honestly, I was overwhelmed by it. To answer a few of the common questions, yes, I've read all the messages. No, I haven't replied to any yet. And yes, I'm still crashing at David's place. My morning started like the others, pretending to focus on work while really just staring at my phone, debating whether to text back. That's when David dropped a bomb over breakfast. Miles is back in town, he said, sliding his phone across the table. There it was, a Facebook post showing Chloe's biological dad, tagged at some local restaurant 3 weeks ago. Same Miles who hasn't paid a dime of child support in 2 years. Same guy who missed 4 birthdays in a row. Suddenly, everything that's happened started making sense. I scrolled back through the texts. Karen's messages had shifted. They went from angry, real mature, Jack, running off instead of talking, to worried, please just let us know you're okay. Her most recent one stopped me. There's something you need to know. It's about Chloe. Please call. Right around lunch, Lisa showed up with coffee and that look she gets when she's ready to take charge of my life. You look like hell, she said, flopping onto David's couch. Nice to see you too, sis, I muttered. She didn't laugh. I ran into Chloe at the mall yesterday. That got my attention. How is she? Meeting Miles for coffee, Lisa said. She didn't see me. She watched my face like a hawk. She looked hopeful, Lisa said, leaning back. You know that look she gets? Like she doesn't want to get too excited, just in case it all falls apart. I nodded. I knew exactly what she meant. It was the same look Chloe had when she got accepted into that summer program last year, like she couldn't quite believe something good was finally happening. Did you know he's been messaging her for months? Lisa went on, her voice tight, telling her he wants to make things right. My stomach turned. I opened up Chloe's Instagram, something I barely ever do. Her most recent post was a picture of her and Miles, big smiles, captioned, real family time. Her friends had flooded the comments with hearts and sweet messages. None of them knew the history. David, who had been listening without saying much, finally spoke up. Remember what happened the last time he came back around? When she was 13. Oh, I remembered. Miles had shown up with his smooth talk and big plans. Lasted 3 weeks, then ghosted her all over again. She stayed in bed for days. Karen and I spent months trying to help her rebuild her sense of worth, reminding her she mattered, she was enough, and that she deserved better. Right then, my phone lit up. A text from Karen. He's asking her to move in with him. And she's actually considering it. Please, Jack. I know you're mad at me, but she needs you. I started to reply. Typed a few things out. Deleted every one of them. What was I supposed to say? Oh, sorry you told me to disappear, but now you want me to come back? The whole thing felt like some messed up punchline. Then another notification buzzed in. Chloe had posted a new Instagram story. A shot of college brochures spread across her bed. The caption read, "Big change is coming. Sometimes you have to choose your real path." That hit me like a gut punch. Because those were Miles's exact words 2 years ago. Right before he left town to chase his so-called real path and stop picking up Chloe's calls. Lisa must have seen the shift in my face. What are you thinking? I took a deep breath. I'm thinking about the day Karen and I got married. You remember what Chloe said in her speech? How sometimes family finds you when you're not even looking for it. Now she was out there talking about her real family, her real path. And Miles? He was suddenly father of the year again. He'd gotten into her head. Before I could say more, my phone started ringing. Unknown number. Jack? This is Miss Anderson from Riverside High. I'm Chloe's guidance counselor. Her tone was professional, but urgent. I know this is a bit unusual, but I need to speak with you. It's about some changes in Chloe's academic plans and her behavior lately. Could you come in tomorrow morning? I told her I'd be there. Hung up. My mind was racing. Chloe had always been on top of her schoolwork, straight A's since 9th grade. She'd worked her tail off trying to get into a good college. What had changed? When I looked up, Lisa and David were watching me like they were waiting for a decision. So? Lisa asked. So, I said, I think it's time I stopped keeping quiet. I finally opened Chloe's voicemail. Her voice was small. Not the usual confident, quick-witted teen I knew. I know you probably hate me now. And I get it. I need to tell you something. About why I said what I said. About Miles. Just, please call me back. There was something in her voice, something that pulled me straight back to the version of her who used to run to the mailbox every day, waiting for a letter that never came. I've got a meeting with her guidance counselor tomorrow at 10. After that, I think it's time we all sat down and had a real conversation. Because the thing about disappearing is, it gives you space. Space to see things clearer than you could when you were in the thick of it. The school's number was still glowing on my screen when another notification popped up. A message from Miles, sent to our old family group chat, which I hadn't been kicked out of yet. Great news. Big announcement at dinner tomorrow night. Yeah, I had a pretty good guess what that announcement was going to be. And this time, I wasn't going to let him pull the same stunt again. I've been sitting here for the past hour, trying to figure out how to write this next part. That meeting with Miss Anderson, it opened doors I wasn't ready for. And what happened afterward? Well, let's start at the beginning. I showed up at Riverside High early. Watched a sea of kids rushing toward first period. A few of Chloe's friends noticed me. I caught the glances, heard the whispers. I could tell word had gotten around that I wasn't living at home. Once I was in her office, Miss Anderson didn't waste any time. Yesterday, Chloe submitted paperwork to drop all her AP classes, she said, sliding a form across the desk. She's also leaving the French club and student council. I blinked. These were the things she'd worked so hard to be part of, the pieces of her life she'd carefully built for college applications. There's more, Miss Anderson said gently. Last week, she asked me to send transcripts to 3 different schools. I waited. All of them are in California. I didn't need her to finish the sentence. I already knew. Same city where Miles just bought some property. I pulled out my phone and showed her Miles's group text. Let me guess, he's starting a business? She nodded. Chloe mentioned something about a startup. Said her dad needs family investors. That sick feeling came right back, the one I'd felt 3 years ago when Miles sweet-talked Karen into loaning him money for a sure-thing investment. We never saw a dime of it. I left the school and drove straight to the house. Karen's car was in the driveway. Through the kitchen window, I saw her pacing, phone to her ear. She opened the front door before I even knocked. He asked her for money, she blurted out. Her college fund. She looked wrecked, voice shaking. He's got her convinced this startup's the key. That if she puts the money in now, she can afford any college she wants. Where is she? Having coffee with Miles. Again. Her voice cracked. I told her it was a scam. She said I was just jealous, that at least he believes in her dreams. I walked into the kitchen and sat at the counter, the same spot where everything blew up a week ago. Why didn't you tell me he was back? I asked. I tried to handle it, she said quietly. Thought maybe if I kept them apart. She shook her head. Then you and Chloe fought, and she said those things, and I panicked. I sided with her because I thought if I didn't, I'd lose her completely. Before I could say anything, the front door opened. Chloe walked in and stopped dead when she saw me. She looked older somehow, makeup done just right, wearing an expensive jacket I knew she didn't buy for herself. But her eyes were red. What are you doing here? She asked. Her voice didn't have the usual bite. Dropping your AP classes? Really? I said, soft but firm. What happened to Stanford? Plans change, she mumbled, not looking at me. Dad says she started. Miles says, I corrected, gently. Something shifted in her face. A flicker of conflict. He's got connections. The startup's guaranteed to. Like the car dealership? I interrupted. Or the food truck gig? I grabbed my laptop and opened it to the documents I'd pulled that morning. I did some digging, I said, sliding it across the counter. Want to see Miles's current business registration? Or his credit report? Maybe the 3 lawsuits he's facing from his last guaranteed investment. Chloe reached out, her fingers trembling slightly as she took the laptop. With every click, every document she opened, I saw the cracks forming. The image she'd built of Miles started falling apart. When she got to the lawsuit filed by his last stepdaughter's grandmother, trying to recover the college fund he borrowed, a tear finally slipped down her cheek. He said, her voice shook. He said he's changed. That he wants to make things right. She paused, looking up at me. That we could be a real family if she didn't finish it first. Then, with a flicker of pain, she added, the photo album, he told me I had to prove I was choosing him. That you were the reason he stayed away. Because you took his place. Oh, sweetheart. Karen stepped toward her, but Chloe backed up. I knew, she whispered. I think, deep down, I always knew. She looked heartbroken. But I wanted it to be true so badly. Her phone buzzed again. Another message from Miles. She stared at it for a moment, then shut the phone off completely. I need to go, she said suddenly, heading for the stairs. I need to think. We let her go. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do is give someone space to breathe. Hours passed. Karen and I finally sat down and had a real conversation. First time in weeks. We talked about everything, our mistakes, our fears, Chloe, and, yeah, Miles too. We talked about us. It was nearly midnight when my phone lit up again. A text from Chloe. I messed up. Everything's a mess. Can we talk? I mean, really talk. Not about Miles. Not about money. Just, remember how we used to get ice cream after my dance classes and I'd tell you all the stupid drama from school? Could we do that again? I know I don't deserve it, but... She continued. I'm sitting in my car outside the ice cream place. It's closed, technically, but the owner knows us. He's keeping it open late. We've been going there for 2 to 3 years. Minutes later, I pulled into the lot. Chloe was already there, parked in her mom's car. Just sitting. Probably trying to work up the nerve to come in, just like I was. Funny how sometimes the most important conversations begin with something small. In our case, mint chocolate chip ice cream at midnight. That night changed everything. We sat for hours. Chloe talked about how Miles had manipulated her, how ashamed and confused she felt. But what stuck with me most was something she said almost in passing. He'd been pushing her to talk other kids' parents into investing too. That's when it all snapped into place. The lawsuits I'd found. The pattern. He was using Chloe the same way he'd used others, luring families in through their kids. My anger had a direction now. You know, I said, trying to stay calm, what he's doing isn't just wrong. It's illegal. Chloe looked up, confused. What do you mean? I explained. Securities fraud, unregistered investment schemes, solicitation of minors. Her eyes went wide. She pulled out her phone and showed me group chats, ones where Miles had been asking her friends to get their parents involved. Clear as day. After I dropped her off at home, I made some calls. Lisa has a friend over at the SEC. David knows someone at the DA's office. By morning, we had a plan. Miles never saw it coming. He was too busy prepping his big dinner, where he planned to pressure Chloe into handing over her college fund. He'd even invited some of her friends' parents, more potential victims. The restaurant was high-end, of course. Miles was in his element, bragging about his Silicon Valley connections and guaranteed returns. I waited until appetizers hit the table. Before we go any further, I said, standing up, some folks would like to join us. Right on cue, 3 federal agents and a state investigator walked in. Miles's face went from smug to shocked to scared in seconds. Turns out, this wasn't his only scheme. They uncovered 7 different scams in 3 states. Every time he reconnected with Chloe, it was part of setting up a new group of victims. That classic car dealership? The one that cost Karen her savings? Part of the fraud. The food truck thing? Same con. But here's the beautiful part. He got sloppy. He'd sent everything in texts and emails to Chloe, thinking she'd never turn on him. But she did. She forwarded it all. And those other parents? They were wearing wires. Every false promise, every shady pitch, recorded in full. Miles tried to bolt, knocked over a waiter, ran for the door. He didn't get far. Security had him down in 3 steps. As they cuffed him, he looked at Chloe with that pathetic, manipulative expression. Sweetie, it's a misunderstanding. Tell them I'm your father. Chloe stood tall. My father's right here, she said, taking my hand. And he just watched you get exactly what you deserved. The aftermath? It was intense. News coverage. Victim statements. More families came forward. Investigators traced over $3.4 million in stolen funds. Turns out, Miles's startup was fake. Just a website with ripped photos from some legit tech firm. But the real one wasn't his arrest. It was everything that came after. Chloe boxed up every photo of her and Miles. She gave them to the prosecution. Evidence, she said, with a little grin I hadn't seen in a long time. She re-enrolled in her AP classes. The school understood. Her friends' parents didn't get mad. They formed a support group for families scammed by people like Miles. Something good from something awful. Last night, she asked me to help with her college essays. I've got a unique story now, she said. How many people can write about bringing down their biological dad's fraud ring? Karen and I are in counseling. Still work to do, trust to rebuild. But when I saw Chloe gently slide those old photos of me back into the family albums, carefully straightening each one, that said more than words ever could. This morning, she came down early, envelope in hand. I found this in my room, she said. Miles wanted me to mail it last week. Investment paperwork for his startup. She slid it across the table. Figured you might want to add it to the evidence file. I looked at it, then looked at her. Want to drop it off together? She grinned, that real, open smile I'd missed so much. Can we get ice cream after? Some folks might say we went too far. That blood is blood, and family's forever. But real family? Real family doesn't try to rob you of your future. Real family shows up, protects you, even if that means protecting you from your own flesh and blood. Miles gets sentenced next month. Chloe's writing a victim impact statement. She's been polishing every word. It needs a strong ending, she told me. Something that proves I'm not just his victim anymore. I think she's already found that ending. It's in how she carries herself now. In the way she's helping other teens recognize the warning signs. In those college brochures sitting on her desk again. Her real path, the one she chose for herself. Because moving forward sometimes means making sure the past doesn't drag anyone else down. And the best kind of justice? It's not just watching someone pay for what they've done. It's thriving in spite of it. We're having a family dinner tonight. Just the three of us. Chloe's making her signature pasta sauce, the one she learned from YouTube videos we watched together during lockdown. Simple, normal, beautiful. The kind of life Miles will have plenty of time to think about, from behind bars.